Hey everyone! Today we're diving into the awesome world of German architecture. Germany has a super cool history, and its buildings tell the story of its past, its values, and its artistic side. Get ready for an adventure through time as we explore the coolest buildings from the Middle Ages to today. We'll uncover the secrets behind these amazing structures and meet the people who built them. Prepare to be amazed by the creativity, skill, and beauty of German architecture. We'll explore massive Romanesque and Gothic buildings, check out the fancy palaces of the Baroque period, and see how architectural styles changed over time. Whether you're an architecture expert or just curious about the buildings that make Germany unique, this journey will be fun and interesting. So let's travel back in time and explore the world of German architecture. Every building, every style, and every era has a story to tell. These stories are about innovation, artistry, and the human spirit. Ready to hear them? Our journey starts in the Middle Ages, a time when religion was super important and people built huge churches. These structures were not just places of worship, but also symbols of the community's faith and dedication. They were the heart of the town, where people gathered not only for religious ceremonies, but also for social events and important meetings. The grandeur of these buildings reflected the importance of religion in everyday life. Two major styles, Romanesque and Gothic, were born during this time and changed Germany forever. These styles didn't just influence the architecture of churches but also left a lasting impact on the cultural and social fabric of the region. The transition from Romanesque to Gothic marked a significant evolution in architectural techniques and artistic expression. Romanesque buildings looked like strong fortresses with thick walls, rounded arches, and small windows. These features were not just for aesthetic purposes, they served practical functions as well. The thick walls provided stability and support, while the small windows helped to keep the interiors cool and protected from invaders. The rounded arches were a hallmark of Romanesque design, giving the buildings a distinctive and robust appearance. Speyer Cathedral is a perfect example of this style. It looks super strong and sturdy. Built in the 11th century, it is one of the largest and most important Romanesque buildings in Europe. The cathedral's massive structure and imposing presence reflect the power and influence of the church during this period. Inside, the high ceilings and grand arches create a sense of awe and reverence, drawing the faithful closer to the divine. As the Middle Ages went on, a new style became popular: Gothic. This style represented a shift towards more vertical and light-filled spaces, symbolizing a new way of thinking about the divine. Gothic architecture aimed to inspire and uplift, with its soaring heights and intricate details. These buildings were all about reaching for the heavens with tall towers and tons of light. The use of large windows, often filled with stunning stained glass, allowed natural light to flood the interiors, creating a heavenly atmosphere. The tall spires and pointed arches directed the eyes upward, encouraging contemplation and spiritual reflection. Cologne Cathedral, with its super-high spires and colorful stained glass windows, is a great example of the Gothic style. Construction began in 1248 and took over 600 years to complete, reflecting the immense dedication and effort required to build such a masterpiece. The cathedral's intricate details and elaborate facade are a testament to the skill and artistry of the medieval craftsmen. These massive cathedrals, built over hundreds of years, weren't just churches. They were monumental projects that involved entire communities. The construction of a cathedral was a source of local pride and a demonstration of the town's wealth and piety. These buildings were often the tallest and most impressive structures in the area, visible for miles around. They showed off the city's pride and architectural skills. The intricate designs and innovative construction techniques used in these cathedrals showcased the ingenuity and creativity of the builders. Each cathedral was unique, reflecting the local culture and artistic traditions. The competition between cities to build the most magnificent cathedrals spurred advancements in architecture and engineering. Imagine the talented builders and craftsmen, their tools echoing through those huge spaces as they carefully built these amazing structures. These workers were highly skilled, often spending their entire lives working on a single cathedral. Their dedication and craftsmanship are evident in the intricate carvings, detailed sculptures, and precise masonry that adorn these buildings. The construction process was a collaborative effort, involving architects, masons, carpenters, and artists, all working together to create a masterpiece. From the powerful Speyer Cathedral to the elegant Cologne Cathedral, these medieval buildings give us a look into a time when faith was everything. They stand as monuments to the human spirit and the enduring power of belief. Each cathedral tells a story of the people who built it, the community it served, and the faith that inspired it. They still stand today, showing us the power of belief, big dreams, and human skill. These cathedrals have survived wars, natural disasters, and the passage of time, remaining as symbols of resilience and faith. Their preservation is a testament to the value we place on our cultural heritage and the importance of remembering our past. As we walk through these ancient halls, we are reminded of the incredible achievements of our ancestors and the enduring legacy of their faith and determination. After the Middle Ages, the Renaissance began, a period of great cultural and artistic revival that swept across Europe. This era marked a significant departure from the medieval period, characterized by a renewed interest in the classical art and architecture of ancient Greece and Rome. People became fascinated with the symmetry, proportion, and geometry that defined classical architecture. This fascination wasn't just limited to Italy, where the Renaissance began, but spread like wildfire across the continent. This new interest spread throughout Europe, including Germany. German architects and patrons eagerly embraced the Renaissance ideals, incorporating them into their own unique styles. Renaissance buildings focused on balance, perfect proportions, and celebrating what it means to be human. The architecture of this period was not just about creating functional spaces, but also about expressing the beauty and potential of human creativity. One great example of German Renaissance architecture is Augustusburg Palace in Brühl. This palace stands as a testament to the grandeur and elegance that defined the Renaissance era in Germany. This beautiful palace, with its balanced design, fancy decorations, and huge gardens, shows the Renaissance spirit of celebrating humanity and beauty. The intricate details and expansive gardens reflect the Renaissance ideals of harmony and order. But wait, there's more! The Renaissance led to the Baroque period, which took grandeur to a whole new level. The Baroque era was characterized by its dramatic use of light and shadow, bold ornamentation, and a sense of movement and energy in its architectural designs. Picture fancy palaces, grand staircases, and over-the-top decorations. The Baroque style was all about creating a sense of awe and wonder, with every element designed to impress and overwhelm the senses. The Würzburg Residence, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is a perfect example of this dramatic style. This palace is renowned for its opulent interiors and grand architectural features. Its amazing staircase, covered in incredible paintings, is a highlight of Baroque architecture. The frescoed ceiling above the staircase is a masterpiece in itself, depicting scenes of grandeur and mythological splendor, and its luxuriously decorated rooms show just how much the Baroque period loved drama and extravagance. Each room is a visual feast, filled with intricate details, lavish furnishings, and rich colors. During these times, German architecture shifted from the serious style of the Middle Ages to embrace elegance, humanism, and a sense of drama. This transition marked a significant evolution in architectural design, reflecting broader cultural changes. Palaces like Augustusburg and the Würzburg Residence became stages for the rich and powerful, showcasing their wealth, taste, and influence. These buildings were not just homes, but symbols of status and power. Showing off their wealth and importance, these architectural marvels were designed to impress both contemporaries and future generations. They stand today as enduring legacies of a time when art and architecture were used to express the highest aspirations of humanity. In the 1700s, the Age of Enlightenment began, a time when reason and logic were super important. This period, also known as the Age of Reason, was characterized by an emphasis on scientific thought, intellectual interchange, and the questioning of traditional doctrines and institutions. Philosophers like Voltaire, Rousseau, and Kant were at the forefront of this movement, advocating for a society based on reason, individualism, and skepticism of authority. The Enlightenment was not just a philosophical movement but also a cultural one, influencing art, literature, and architecture across Europe. People also became fascinated by the ancient Greeks and Romans again. This renewed interest was partly due to the discovery of ancient ruins and artifacts, which sparked a wave of archaeological expeditions. Scholars and artists began to study classical texts and artworks, seeking to revive the principles of harmony, proportion, and beauty that defined ancient Greek and Roman art and architecture. This fascination with antiquity led to the emergence of the neoclassical style, which sought to emulate the grandeur and simplicity of classical antiquity. This new way of thinking had a huge impact on German architecture. German architects were inspired by the ideals of the Enlightenment and the classical past, leading to a transformation in architectural design. They began to incorporate elements of classical architecture such as columns, pediments, and symmetrical layouts into their buildings. This shift was not just about aesthetics, it was also about conveying the values of order, rationality, and progress that were central to the Enlightenment. The classical and neoclassical styles inspired by the ancient Greeks and Romans were all about order, symmetry, and clean lines. These styles emphasize simplicity and clarity, rejecting the ornate and elaborate designs of the Baroque and Rococo periods. Neoclassical architecture aimed to create a sense of timeless beauty and grandeur, reflecting the Enlightenment's ideals of reason and universal principles. Buildings were designed to be harmonious and balanced with a focus on geometric forms and proportion. Buildings had columns, triangular roofs called pediments, and other classical details. These architectural elements were not just decorative, they were symbolic of the values and ideals of the time. Columns, for example, represented strength and stability, while pediments often featured sculptures and reliefs that depicted scenes from mythology or history, reinforcing the connection to the classical past. The use of these elements created a sense of continuity with ancient civilizations and conveyed a message of cultural refinement and intellectual achievement. The Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, with its massive columns and balanced design, is a great example of the neoclassical style. Built in the late 18th century, the gate was designed by architect Karl Gotthard Langens and was inspired by the Propylaea, the gateway to the Acropolis in Athens. The Brandenburg Gate became a symbol of peace and unity, reflecting the Enlightenment's ideals of harmony and progress. Its design features Doric columns and a quadriga, a chariot drawn by 4 horses, which adds to its classical grandeur. During this time, many palaces, government buildings, and monuments were built that reflected the ideas of the Enlightenment. These structures were designed to be both functional and aesthetically pleasing, embodying the principles of rationality and order. Palaces like the Charlottenburg Palace in Berlin and government buildings such as the Reichstag were constructed with an emphasis on symmetry, proportion, and classical detailing. Monuments and public spaces were also designed to inspire civic pride and reflect the values of the Enlightenment. Architects wanted to create buildings that looked good and worked well, while also representing reason and order. This approach to architecture was influenced by the writings of Enlightenment thinkers who believed that the built environment should reflect the rational and orderly nature of the universe. Architects like Karl Friedrich Schinkel and Leo von Klenze were instrumental in promoting the neoclassical style in Germany, designing buildings that were not only beautiful but also functional and efficient. Their work set the standard for public and private architecture in the 18th and 19th centuries. From the impressive Brandenburg Gate to many other examples across Germany, the classical and neoclassical styles had a lasting impact on the country's architecture. These styles influenced not only public buildings but also private residences, churches, and educational institutions. The principles of classical architecture were adapted to suit the needs and tastes of the time, resulting in a diverse range of structures that still stand today as a testament to the enduring appeal of the classical ideal. The legacy of this architectural movement can be seen in the continued use of classical elements in modern architecture. They show a time when buildings weren't just pretty to look at but also represented ideas and philosophies. The architecture of the Enlightenment era was a reflection of the intellectual and cultural currents of the time, embodying the values of reason, progress, and humanism. These buildings were designed to inspire and educate, serving as physical manifestations of the Enlightenment's ideals. Today they continue to be admired for their beauty and historical significance, reminding us of a time when architecture was seen as a means of expressing the highest aspirations of humanity.